Hey everyone, it's Julianne here, back with some more Valentine's Day inspiration. For my card today, I'm going to be using a bunch of Trinity Stamps products, as well as a few products from some other companies. From Trinity Stamps, I'm going to be using the Make a Munster die, as well as Sweet Surprise and Sweeter Than stamp set. I will also be using the Deckle Edge A2 Honey Cuts from Honeybee, as well as some sentiment strips from Simon. I started out by cutting down some watercolor paper to slightly bigger than the edge die so that I could start working on my ink blending. I am going to be using Distress Oxide inks for my blending today. The colors I used are Shaded Lilac, Wilted Violet, and Black Soot. I'm going to start in the middle of my paper with the lightest color, which will be that Shaded Lilac, working my way out to my darkest shade, which is the Black Soot, which will be on the edges of my card. To make sure that I have a well-blended background, I am going to be switching back and forth between the three colors until I get the desired look. I have sped up this process quite a lot since it did take me a while, so I'm just going to put on some music and I'll be right back. Off camera, I ink blended a smaller piece of that same watercolor paper with my Distress Oxide inks, so that I could die cut my Munster's arms using the Make a Munster die set that would match my ink blended background. I am completely obsessed with this Make a Munster die set. There are so many possibilities when it comes to this die, which I love because we all know dies can be quite expensive. So being able to create multiple cards with one die is a must for me. Just one pass with this die through your die cutting machine and you get multiple arms, eyes, horns, teeth, glasses, facial expressions, and my favorite, those eyebrows. You could end up making several cards using this die set and they could all have different elements and facial expressions. I ended up using 10 of the die cuts, but knew that those eyebrows were a must for my card today. Next, I stamped out my images onto some Express It blended cardstock, since I was going to be doing some Copic coloring today. On camera, I stamped and colored 2 cupcakes from the Sweet Surprise stamp set, but in the end decided that I wanted my Munster to be holding 3 cupcakes for my card today. I really wanted my Munster to just have all the sweet things that his arms could hold, so I also stamped and colored 4 lollipops as well from the Sweeter Than stamp set. Next, I'm going to start working on my Copic coloring. I have sped up my coloring process quite a lot, as you can tell, because it did take me some time. I am actually a very slow colorer. When coloring, I either like to put on Hulu or Netflix and I just kind of zone out. I do also have 2 puppies, Binks and Mona, so this dog mom does get a lot of puppy interruptions as well. I'm going to have the marker caps off to the side so that you can see what colors I'm using throughout my coloring. But before I put on some music, I did want to mention that when coloring the icing for my cupcakes, I'm coloring how the illustrator has drawn these images. That way my icing looks like it has been piped on there. To achieve this look, I'm going to be adding the shading to the bottom of what will look like layers and then blending out with my lighter shades. Once I had all my Copic coloring done, the next step was to fussy cut out all those cupcakes and lollipops. And then I started working on the layout of my card. Once I had decided on where I wanted everything to be, I started adhering my Munster cuts directly to that blended background. Since the Make a Munster dies were a main part of my card, I wanted to make sure that they were going to be visible once my card was complete. To do this, I adhered all of them down first while leaving the cupcakes in the desired position. This made sure that my eyes and the nose and the mouth were still going to be visible once I had adhered those cupcakes down. Once I had all of those elements adhered directly to my blended background, I also adhered both the teal and the blue cupcake to my background as well. Since this card is for Valentine's Day, I thought that my card really needed some hearts. So using some red cardstock, I die cut some heart images, and before adhering them to my cupcakes, I used my Wink of Stella brush to add some sparkle. I then started working on adhering my lollipops. I ended up adhering them directly to the card, positioning them behind the chocolate cupcake. I really wanted the chocolate cupcake to look as though it was in front of all of the rest of the treats, and to achieve this, I adhered it down using some foam adhesive. I really wanted my monster to resemble the Cookie Monster as he's sneaking around with all these sweet treats and snacks. So in order to achieve this look, I needed for his arms to look as though they were a part of his body. And his body is that blended background that I worked on earlier. So to achieve that, since the Honey Cuts die cut made me have that jagged edge to look as though it was fur, I needed to flip over my card base and just cut along that same line with my scissors. Once I had both of my edges cut down, I just had a few more elements to adhere to my card, which included his arms as well as those eyebrows. I adhered both of those directly to my card using foam adhesive. To add some more fun to my card, in the latest Trinity Stamps release, they came out with these I've Got My Eye on You Monster Eye sprinkles. I thought they would be the perfect addition to my already very playful card, especially since my husband's eyes are green as well. I am going to adhere those directly in the center of my eye die cuts using some liquid adhesive. Next, I'm going to start working on my sentiments. I am a huge fan of these new sentiment strips that Simon is offering. I'm all about easy and convenient when it comes to sentiments. So for these, I am going to be using the set that comes from the CZ Design Sentiment Strips Reverse Love set. Once I get that placement just right, I'm going to be adhering them directly up front onto that chocolate cupcake. Finally, to give my chocolate cupcake a little something extra, I'm going to be adhering some Crafty Love embellishments. These embellishments are part of the new January release from Trinity Stamps as well, and it's going to make it look as though my cupcake has heart-shaped sprinkles throughout the icing. I thought this was a really fun and playful way to add this sweet detail. The final step to my card today is going to be adhering my background directly to my pre-scored card base. I just love the way that this card turned out. It is perfect for my personal Valentine's Day monster, and I hope he will love it just as much as I do. Did you make any Valentine's Day cards this year? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for stopping by, and as always, happy crafting!